Good morning, everybody. My name is Nicole. If you are new here, if not, welcome back. So after my holiday video had such a great response, it was a holiday dollhouse tour video. I thought, why not keep the theme a little bit going? I decided to visit the Miniatures Museum, which should be interesting. I've never been to one of these before. So I'd be curious what this place has. I think it's also a mixture of miniatures, dolls, and toys, so I don't think it's just all miniature things, but I'm really excited to check it out. It's only like a $5 admission, hopefully $5 worth. But let's go ahead and pop on in and see what's going on inside. And here is the Museum of Miniatures, Dolls, and Toys. Open Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. There's the entrance. So it is a fairly old building, but it looks like if it extends this way, it looks like it could be 2 stories, but we shall see. Hopefully they'll also let me film in there. I am not sure, but we won't know until we walk in. So yeah, let's go ahead and go inside. So the museum was really kind. They allowed me to take videos and photos. It was, though, very, very quiet in the museum, so I decided to avoid disturbing the people around me. I would just, film and take the pictures, but I would talk later and tell you guys what I was seeing. So this particular dollhouse is a replica of a childhood home owned by Bets O'Mara. It's a 1-to-1 scale, and pretty much when I say a replica, I mean everything, including the furniture, is replicated to the exact look of her home. The only thing that isn't to the exact look are the bathrooms, because she hated how her bathrooms looked in her home. So she designed them the way she would have wanted them to look. And there's one bathroom in here called the Hollywood bathroom, and it's very unique. You'll probably catch it in my video. So as you guys are watching this video, I know it's a lot to take in, but try to absorb all the little details. Like, look how there's a kitty playing in the toilet. And just try to see, all the tiny things. Like, there's a Noah's Ark on the floor with the animals. There's the Mickey Mouse hats above the bed, and even the little dog in the hallway. There's just so much to look at. And so if you also need to pause the video, definitely do so, because it's just so cool to see every little creative aspect in these rooms. So in this cabinet, you will see there is some antique miniature furniture. I do believe this stuff is of value or rarity. There's also some other little antique kind of, or one of a kind little miniatures. I would say the stuff in here is more of like a miniature art gallery, because you can just see this stuff is so beautiful. Like that's real silver. And look at that champagne bucket. And then the food, this is funny. I actually have seen her at the miniature shows. This stuff's really cool. You can cut into those vegetables and they look like real vegetables with the seeds and everything. So I do believe this is just kind of an eclectic assortment of just really unique miniature pieces. And I love this little like room. I don't know if you call them like a room divider or like a privacy shade, you know, like shade, or I don't know. But you can tell it's hand painted. Absolutely beautiful. And these pianos are just gorgeous. And those like tiny people. And then I love how they have a cat looking into a miniature, so it's like a miniature into a miniature. I just think that's so cool. But just beautiful, beautiful things. So here's another miniature house that represents an old family farmhouse. I think it was Mariana's family farmhouse that's been passed down generation to generation. She had to take a dollhouse that was made in the 1980s and transform it into a farmhouse from the 1940s. And this particular dollhouse is a 1 to 12 scale. So I really love this kitchen. I love how cozy it is. I love that you can tell they're mid-cooking, so they're making peach pie, and they had the vegetables and the chicken on the table. And again, paying attention to those little details, I love that they added an egg that dropped on the floor. So this next house, I was kind of struggling to know where this one kind of takes place. I do see an alligator and some crawfish right there near on the water on that like boat. So I'm kind of thinking this is like an old house along the bayou. Again, I could be wrong, but based on some of the stuff around the house, that was kind of why I guessed that. Now this house hits more of the Victorian times, between like 1893 and 1896. This house is called the Stick Eastlake House, again made by Mariana, the same woman who had the farmhouse. And you can see it's very Victorian furnishings, and then some Art Deco with the lighting. I really enjoyed this. You could tell that it looks like they're getting ready for a party. So there's a ton of food, lots of kitchens, and a lot of just things happening. You could tell it's busy. really enjoyed this one. This one is actually a garden store, or like a general store, but for gardening. You can see the little soil bags, the seeds on the wall, the supplies. I just thought this one was so cute. Very well done. So this next one I feel like is such a treat because this used to sit in a museum in Munich, Germany. And this is a German grocery shop, and it is completely brass. It's from the 19th century. So I really loved this one. This one is the Santa Fe home. It is from the early 1970s, created by Marie Beal. And I just love it because it's a different take on a miniature house. I feel like a lot of them are very Victorian or cottage. This one, it just was just a nice change, and seeing what other people can do with a completely different style home. This miniature was more kind of like a indigenous style, in the sense of it had a lot of indigenous inspiration. It looked kind of like a shop, because if you peek inside you can see that they're selling jewelry and pottery. So I wasn't quite sure what this exactly was supposed to represent, but I still think it's just so cute to see all those pots. I really liked those. This one was really fun to look at. It's called Somewhere Gazette, Everyday Happenings. And pretty much it's a miniature of a town, population of 23, possibly 24 if you count Fred Neat, the sign painter who lives just outside of town. That's what it said in the little description. But this one has a lot of action happening, and you really have to pay attention, and some funny little elements that I'll point out in just a moment. So like I said, this one has a little humor. So like you can see that guy fell on because the chair broke. And then as you go down, it takes you to like the basement area. There's where they get the ice, which I thought was really cool. Nice addition. And then as you keep going, you can see, you know, the little details of like the chickens on the rock, the guy making a tree house. And then even when you go even further, there's the bank. There's people just waiting to be helped at the bank. And then below that, for some reason, there's a guy digging a hole. And you can even see where he like moved that piece of furniture to get there. So like, it's just, there is some action. And then like in this one, the woman, her cat knocked over a plant, and you could see the husband being like, "Are you okay?" You know, like he looks a little bit like he's about to get up. And then here's kind of like the general store and where they can get Coca-Cola floats or just a soda. And then that's the fabric. It looks like the fabric area, like the fabric. I don't want to say it's a shop, but maybe where they make clothes. And there's the alley. And then this guy, he is hastily walking to the bathroom. That is a public restroom. You'll see when I move to the, yeah, there you go. That's the door to the restroom, and it says out of order. So poor guy, he will not get to use the restroom. And there's these guys working on the car, and you can see the oil spilled all over him. So yeah, there's just a lot going on in this one, and I really liked it. So this next miniature mansion, and pardon if I say it wrong, but it's called Kingscott. It's a real home in Newport, Rhode Island, and this is supposed to be a replica from 1839 to 1841. And this was kind of when the cottage boom was happening, so it was a big kind of deal to have a house that was built like this in Newport, Rhode Island, and others soon followed. But anyways, this is the replica of that house. The house is a National Historic Landmark to this day. But this was a scale model built by Norm Nielsen Sr., who discovered this home in a book. And so he was just, I guess, influenced and inspired to recreate it. So this doll is called the Miss Hamako Yokohama. Sorry if I say it wrong. But she was donated by the Denver Public Library, and she is actually a friendship doll from 1926 between Japan and the United States. And I guess some of the miniatures in this case are done more recently. I think some of them aren't as old, and you can kind of tell just based on the style and the things used. But this is where we're starting to head towards more of a modern style of miniature making. Okay, so I didn't want to talk in the main area, but this is like, I think obviously the kids zone where they can play. And then it's just like another little part of the museum. And you got more of these like metal figures, which I've actually recently got into myself. And I didn't even think that some of these would be used for train sets. But like I showed before, I have some military guys that I purchased at an antique shop for 4th of July. And now I'm thinking, oh yeah, they could be collectibles. So I'm gonna definitely hang on to those. We got some old cars. I love the little basket. Old trains. I love metal toys. I'm really into those. Then of course we got some retro toys. Creepy crawlers was my time. Then Light Bright. Viewmaster. I remember these football games. Not saying that was my time, but I remember seeing these. Of course, Fisher-Price. The Jart's the most dangerous toy ever created. At least one of them for sure. Little Star Wars action figures. Omnibot. And then I remember my aunt had this, so I definitely played with this. Fashion plates. Yeah, that was a really fun toy that she had, and I loved it. I wonder if my grandma still has it or she gave it to my aunt, but yeah, we definitely had that. And then I had exactly this Polly Pocket. Still, I think I still have it. I can't find my Polly Pockets. Kind of a sore subject, but I did have this one exactly. 1992. And then I remember when I was a kid, I wanted one of these so bad. Teddy Ruxpin. I think about it now, how silly, but I think I was very much sold on the advertisement. And here's some old furniture. And these are really cool. Like an old fire engine toy, of course, cast iron. Again, I love cast iron toys. Just think they're so cool. Yeah, that one's really neat. It's really big. And then these are like for bigger dolls, but more miniature stuff. And look at this cool Zeppelin. That's really cool. And then an old kitchen. Do not climb the case. Good Lord. Hope not. That's a cool kitchen. I love like these metal stoves. They're so cute. And then like an old prairie wagon. This one's darling, this little camper. Oh, I think he's a little bachelor. Look at him. He's got leopard bedding, roses, chilled champagne. Like, hey, what's going on? Who's the lucky lady? That's funny. And he has a pet parrot. Kind of an interesting dude. And then we got a little carriage here. That's kind of, it looks like maybe like a mother and son. I can't tell if they're leaving or selling. Maybe leaving. And look how cute, little Pooh Bear. That's really cute. I would love to have that. So cute. And then another little prairie family. And then we walk over here. This one's a little odd to look at, but just by how it's presented, but looks like a store. Let's see if I can get, oh wow. A lot of glass goods. And we got a little Christmas stall, like a Christmas market stall. That's cute. And down here, that's really neat. I love seeing all these tiny little decor. It's just so cute. It's just amazing how they make this stuff. All right, and then over here, wow. That's impressive. Okay. And last but not least, this is like a 1968 dollhouse. And you got like a old little hotel. And then you got like this kind. Oh, this is so cute. It's an airline luggage cart. Oh, that's so cute. I love that. Wow. Very cool. Well, that concludes it, guys. It's a very impressive museum if you like miniatures. Lots of beautiful things to look at. And of course, this place has a gift shop, and the gift shop is buying miniatures, which I think is really cool. And I will say that some of this stuff was actually reasonably priced. I was actually quite surprised by that. And so what an awesome option to kind of be able to buy miniatures at the miniature museum. And even if you don't have a dollhouse, I still feel like it would just be such a cute little souvenir to remind yourself, you know, the day you spent at the miniature museum. So that museum took my breath away. The amount of detail on all the tiny miniatures, the houses. I love that they all had a story and why the person created it. I'm just like totally inspired in a way, to be honest. Like, I love making little miniature food. That's kind of like my biggest, how can I say it? That's as far as I can go. I'm not one to make like miniature furniture or anything like that. But besides that, seeing all that stuff, my gosh, it was super inspiring. Really sparks, even if you're not into miniatures or dollhouses, it still like sparks creativity big time. I just love this museum. Definitely going to take my mom. I think she would greatly enjoy it, including my dad. But yes, that was awesome. $5 worth spent, definitely. And what's really cool is I guess they have a miniature show in March, actually on my dad's birthday. So that's pretty cool. So I'll definitely probably go to that. That's coming up very soon. So yeah, guys, that's it. That is the video for today. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you feel creatively inspired as much as I did, even just seeing it through the lens of my camera. But until next time, I'll catch you guys on the next video. Take care. Bye.